So yet another person of color was accused of a crime that he did not even commit. So an Ohio woman falsely accused and called the police on a black man using his cell phone, said that he was carrying a gun. And here he is pictured here, and the police is escorting him to the police car. By Aline McClory, Record Courier. And so this is Ravenna, Ohio, August 13th. Darren Cooper was in Ravenna for the first time. Okay. A Hudson resident who works for the Summit County. He was at the Portage County Job and Family Services Building parking lot off South Chestnut Street for a 9 a.m. training meeting. So Cooper got to the building early and signed in and went to sit in the car at about 8:47 a.m. in the morning, drinking tea and talking on his cell phone. Okay, so he was basically minding his own business. When the Ravenna cops pulled up into the parking lot, and he said that he initially didn't think anything of it, but Summit County has police officers at the building he works in. He said, so he didn't think anything was wrong until the fourth officer rolled in. So there were 4 officers on one call that a black man had a gun. All right. Now, just think of how messy that situation could turn into. So let's go on. So that's also when the police came up to his car yelling, "Put your hands up, put your hands up." So a woman who had called the Ravenna Police Department from the dentist office across the street said that the man was sitting in a black Mustang with a gun, specifically with a gun. So the Record Courier, part of the USA Today network, could not verify the woman's identity. So Cooper does have a concealed carry weapon permit, but he wasn't carrying a gun at the time. Okay? He didn't have any weapons on him at all. So all he had in his hand was his cell phone, which he was using to talk on the speaker. So Cooper does have a concealed carry weapons permit, but he wasn't carrying any gun at the time on him. So all he had was a cell phone. Look at that situation. So Cooper was the only black man in the parking lot in a Mustang. So he says that he doesn't understand how the caller would have seen a gun in his hand, especially if she was across the street. So the caller identified his car as black when it was dark gray, he said. So she did not identify him as a black man, but she did identify the car. But if you don't know the exact color of the vehicle, how do you know I had a gun? Cooper questioned. So, officers came to investigate the scene, but did not find any weapons on the guy. And then officers quickly cleared the scene and apologized to Cooper. Now, it could have went a whole nother way. This man could have gotten his life taken away from him, all because somebody called and made up a story that he had a gun when he didn't. All he had was a cell phone. So I'm happy. It says Cooper, though, was angry after the incident and felt angry still after watching the video of the incident released to him by the Ravenna Police Department. So he says, in quote, "I'm happy to be able to share this story because my wife almost lost a husband and my kids almost lost their father over someone who thought I had a gun, but it was an iPhone. And the person did not have the correct color of the car," Cooper said. So when someone's life is on the line, as mine clearly was, attention to detail is the utmost importance. So in the 911 call, the woman does not seem certain that Cooper is holding a pistol. So I really believe that he was holding a pistol, okay, she said at one point in the call, and later said, I'm pretty darn sure it's a pistol. So police officers who responded to the call had at least 2 guns unholstered according to the police videos in the incident. So this caller not only put the guy's life in danger by making a false complaint saying that he was holding a gun when he didn't, he had a cell phone, but also put the officers in a vicarious situation to be demonized because they were basically just doing their job, if you look at it from that point of view. And so you see how you put not only the officers in a bad spot, but you put this black man in a situation where he could have lost his life. So you're ruining several lives by making these false phone calls. So Captain Jake Smallfield, a spokesman for the Ravenna Police Department, said that he reviewed the videos from the incident and thought everyone was professional during the incident. So he said the police have to check out tips on guns. So we want people to tell us if they see, or in case if they see that they see somebody with a gun. So we will, of course, investigate all these complaints, Smallfield said. So that's one way to get the police to come out, is to say somebody has a gun. And lickety split, they will come out because that's a deadly weapon. And so if it's not used in self-defense in the right fashion, if it's used in an incident for malice, then the police is going to be out there with their weapons drawn. So you put a lot of people's lives in a situation. And with all that's going on in the world today with police, brutality, you have some bad cops out there, and then you have some cops who are just doing their job. And now you put these cops in a situation that they probably didn't want to be in. And then this guy, his life was on the line. He could have lost his life behind somebody's foolish phone call. So Cooper said that he wanted to pursue charges, but Smallfield initially said that he did not plan on filing charges against the woman. So we would not in any way try to discourage people from calling us with tips such as that. Smallfield said, we teach it in school, but if you see something, say something. So we rely heavily on the tips. And so Cooper said that Friday that he had spoken to the Smallfield officers again after Smallfield spoke to the Record Courier, the Raven Police, or the Smallfield. Okay, so the Raven Police, the Ravenna Police, had sent a detective to speak to the caller. Okay, so I guess they wanted to locate the person who actually initially made this phone call. So generally, he said the police department does file charges for making false reports, but the person has called between 15 and 20 times in a single night, which disrupts police services. And so Smallfield said that the Ravenna police have a new standardized police policy for bias in policing and are working with Ohio collaboratives on a standard for police departments in Ohio to improve community relations to gain certification. And so the policy prohibits officers from using bias-based profiling and enforcement efforts. So 8 Portage County departments are certified by the Ohio Collaborative: Aurora, Brimfield, Hiram, and Kent State, Magador, and NEOMED, Neomed, and the Streetsboro. And so the process does not cost anything for a certificate, according to the China Doodly. And so public information officers with the Ohio Department of Public Safety and the agency will work with local police departments who want to be certified. So Smallfield said both Cooper and the officers handled the situation professionally. And so I think a lot of times we get into situations where one or more people could have overreacted. Of course, the officers probably, you know, let's supposing they had officers who maybe weren't good officers. That black guy could have lost his life. Easily. We've been seeing a lot of this. This is a situation where that didn't happen. And we hope that other situations could be handled as professional as this one was. But unfortunately, that has not been the case. So for somebody to do this, you want them to be held accountable, or at least think twice. Think about what if it was someone that they were close to that was in a situation such as this, but maybe they feel they'll never have to encounter that because they're on another side of the spectrum. Anyway, maybe they feel because they're not black, they don't have to experience these things. So for them, maybe it's, let's just make up these stories and get innocent people killed for crimes that they didn't even commit. So this is not cool. So this is the reason why this article comes out. It shows how these people handle it, and hopefully other situations will be handled as professional as this one, so we won't see more death. But Cooper said that he wants to talk about black lives almost lost at the hands of police, so people can come forward and file their own reports. And so this is the reason why they have Black Lives Matter, because if you don't think that black lives are important in these type of situations that are vital where they could lose their life, then there is no all lives mattering, because all lives should include black lives. And so if it doesn't include black lives, then you really aren't in support. You don't even really stand behind those words. You basically hijacked the slogan Black Lives Matter and you've tried to flip it, but it isn't working well for you because you have people doing these things that could basically end black lives. So in saying this, it goes on to read that he said that he was amazed that he didn't die. And so that's the one thing. I'm amazed that he didn't die. So they didn't come at me with excessive force, but the person who filed the false report should be charged, Cooper said. And so he added, it wasn't my time and it just didn't happen. And so this is one story that didn't end bad. And so we'd hope that people would understand that when you call the police on someone and put them in a situation like this, it could have ended bad. And he was fortunate that it didn't. And so we would hope that we see less of this happening. Having said that, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for listening.